Check mic,
pretty bad
chat,
slashy
chat.
thing, right? Like, I don't think that's a particularly controversial take. I think that's something like everyone is pretty much on board with.
I actually
Okay,
can't see you, chat.
now, condemning and criticizing genocide, and of course, by extension, the people who are committing or endorsing or profiting off of genocide, I would think that that's a pretty fair to good thing, right? Like, I think that's something that we should be doing. I think it's a totally fair thing to do. Now, this is okay. This is where like it's going to get like a little bit more complicated. So just really pay attention. Criticizing or condemning people who criticize and condemn genocide, and of course, by
to an end. Heck, maybe you'll even be able to get one of these at MSRP. But why is this called the 6950 XT? That's weird, isn't it? And that's not the only thing that's weird about this. Let's get into it. But first, let's get into our sponsor.
KiwiCo. KiwiCo ships out crates that contain hands-on projects for kids to help develop their creative confidence and problem-solving skills. Learn more at the end of the video or right now at the link below.
There's three watching. There's three. Oh, hey, hi. I did not even see that. There was someone. I didn't see that there was someone chatting because I could not. Okay, I may need to change the settings of it. But anyway, hey, join the stream. I couldn't. I seriously could not see that. Anyway, yeah. Apo, I can read the rating. I may have a. I don't even know if it can reach this far. The mobile port, I guess, I can't really read Cyrillic that much. Although, uh, Serepnosh, Kore, Koren, or Koret, Kore. I can read a little bit of Cyrillic, but I can't actually, I don't actually know the words. I know it's Ruska. The fish.
here.
Yeah, the chat box isn't looking. Sip, sip.